Weiterling replied he had not become a socialist to learn about doctrines manufactured in a study. He spoke for actual working men and would not submit to the views of mere theoreticians who were remote from the suffering world of real labor. This, said an eyewitness, so enraged Marx that he struck his fist on the table so violently that the lamp shook. Jumping to his feet, he shouted, "Ignorance has never helped anybody yet." The meeting ended with Marx still striding up and down the room in violent rage. This was the pattern for further assaults, both on socialists of working-class origin and on any leaders who had secured a large following of working men by preaching practical solutions to actual problems of work and wages, rather than doctrinaire revolution. Thus Marx went for the former compositor Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, the agricultural reformer Hermann Kriege, and the first really important German social democrat and labor organizer, Ferdinand Lassalle. In his manifesto against Kriege, Marx, who knew nothing about agriculture, especially in the United States where Kriege had settled, denounced his proposal to give 160 acres of public land to each peasant. He said that peasants should be recruited by promises of land, but once a communist society was set up, land had to be collectively held. Proudhon was an anti-dogmatist. For God's sake, he wrote, after we have demolished all the religious dogmatism a priori, let us not of all things attempt to instill another kind of dogma into the people. Let us not make ourselves the leaders of a new intolerance. Marx hated this line. In his violent diatribe against Proudhon, the Misère de la Philosophie, written in June 1846, he accused him of infantilism, gross ignorance of economics and philosophy, and above all, misuse of Hegel's ideas and techniques. Monsieur Proudhon knows no more of the Hegelian dialectic than its idiom. As for Lassalle, he became the victim of Marx's most brutal anti-Semitic and racial sneers. He was Baron Itzig, the Jewish nigger, a greasy Jew disguised under brilliantine and cheap jewels. It is now perfectly clear to me, Marx wrote to Engels on 30 July 1862, that, as the shape of his head and the growth of his hair indicates, he is descended from the Negroes who joined in Moses' flight from Egypt, unless his mother or grandmother on the father's side was crossed with a nigger. This union of Jew and German on a Negro base was bound to produce an extraordinary hybrid. 4. Marx then was unwilling either to investigate working conditions in industry himself or to learn from intelligent working men who had experienced them. Why should he? In all essentials, using the Hegelian dialectic, he had reached his conclusions about the fate of humanity by the late 1840s. All that remained was to find the facts to substantiate them, and these could be garnered from newspaper reports, government blue books, and evidence collected by earlier writers, and all this material could be found in libraries. Why look further? The problem, as it appeared to Marx, was to find the right kind of facts, the facts that fitted. His method has been well summarized by the philosopher Karl Jaspers. The style of Marx's writings is not that of the investigator. He does not quote examples or adduce facts which run counter to his own theory, but only those which clearly support or confirm that which he considers the ultimate truth. The whole approach is one of vindication, not investigation, but it is a vindication of something proclaimed as the perfect truth with the conviction not of the scientist, but of the believer. In this sense, then, the facts are not central to Marx's work. They are ancillary, buttressing conclusions already reached independently of them. Capital, the monument around which his life as a scholar revolved, should be seen, then, not as a scientific investigation of the nature of the economic process it purported to describe, but as an exercise in moral philosophy, a tract comparable to those of Carlyle or Ruskin. It is a huge and often incoherent sermon, an attack on the industrial process and the principle of ownership by a man who had conceived a powerful but essential irrational hatred for them. Curiously enough, it does not have a central argument which acts as an organizing principle. Marx originally, in 1857, conceived the work as consisting of 6 volumes: Capital, Land, Wages and Labor, the State, Trade, and a final volume on the world market and crises. Degrees, but the methodical self-discipline needed to carry through such a plan proved beyond his power. The only volume he actually produced, which, confusingly, is 2 volumes, really has no logical pattern. It is a series of individual expositions arranged in arbitrary order. The French Marxist philosopher Louis Althusser found its structure so confusing that he thought it imperative that readers ignore Part 1 and begin with Part 2, Chapter 4.